For a week, we've been telling you about Jesse Sansone, the Kitchener man who was arrested because his daughter drew a crayon drawing of a gun at school. Well, Chris Sims has met Jesse Sansone, sat down and talked with him, and has some fascinating things to say about that interview and her interview with Family and Child Services. Chris joins us now from Ottawa. Hey, Chris, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Ezra.
Now, let's start off with your meeting with Jesse Sansone, and then I want to get to the video clips that you've got. Tell me what Jesse Sansone is like. Is he a dangerous man? Are there guns around the house? What's the story? Is he someone who should have been arrested?
Ezra, as a human being, walking into that house thinking, I'm going to check this out to see if there's any loaded handguns that children are playing with, which is what the apparent concern was of the school. Ezra, within a minute of walking into that house, you'd be like, I'm so sorry, I've got the wrong place. Yeah. They're soft-spoken young couple, 4 kids, 1 on the way. Their walls are plastered in family pictures and framed scripture. They have a portrait of the Last Supper hanging in their kitchen, Ezra. His dad gave that to them when they first moved out together, when they were 16. They've been on their own together since they were 16. They're a very kind couple, and I'm pretty sure anybody that's using their critical thinking skills would have immediately said, okay, everything's cool. What do you have here that could have been mistaken for a gun?
That's right. Well, and that's the crazy thing, is that we've learned that the gun itself was actually, it was so trivial that they erased it before the police even saw it. You've got a few clips with you, not from your discussion with Jesse Sansone himself, but with your discussion, I understand, with the Child and Family Services officer who called in the cops. Why don't you introduce those clips and tell us what they're about?
Sure, Ezra. And to be clear, this is Ms. Allison Scott. She's the Executive Director of Family and Child Services for the Waterloo region. I asked her questions for more than 40 minutes and eventually finally asked, where is this drawing? Let's take a listen.
Okay.
The superintendent said that you guys are in possession of all of the investigative stuff. Do you have the drawing?
No.
Do you know where the drawing is?
My understanding is the drawing was on an erasable whiteboard in the classroom.
Oh, I see. So it wasn't on a piece of paper.
That's right.
Okay, so was she in front of the class then, drawing this?
I can't speak to that.
Okay, so this was on an erasable whiteboard, and it was erased?
I don't know that.
Okay. Was an image taken of this?
I don't know that either.
Who saw the drawing, other than the teacher?
I don't know that.
She doesn't know a lot, Chris, but she knows one thing. She should call the cops. That's outrageous. I mean, she didn't do an investigation. She didn't need to, Chris, because there was nothing to investigate. She wanted this guy to be arrested, and he was.
Ezra, I was thunderstruck. You know, this started with this drawing. And whatever that teacher saw on the whiteboard, apparently she said to the little 4-year-old girl, you shouldn't draw guns, guns are bad. And the 4-year-old girl told me that, oh, I erased it because she obeys what she's told. And apparently the conversation that occurred between that junior kindergarten teacher and that little 4-year-old girl called the cops, but the picture's gone.
You know what? The cops are lying because they said publicly that the way the gun was drawn resembled remarkably a firearm used in various pharmacy robberies. So that's a damn lie, because no cop saw the gun. This Child and Welfare Services woman didn't see the gun. And I know how 4-year-olds draw, especially girls. They draw flowers and princesses in pink. And for a cop to say, oh, we arrested him and strip searched him and searched his house because it resembled a gun used in a crime. They didn't even see it. I'm disgusted, Chris. Tell me the next one. I hope I don't get even angrier than I am now. What's your next clip you have?
Just as a quick aside, I did happen to see some of the artwork at the Sansone family home, and I can't say who drew it, but it looks like a tumbleweed with kind of smiley faces in it, as you'd expect a 4-year-old to draw.
We better call Agriculture Canada, because there's been a tumbleweed reported now in it. Maybe it's an endangered species. I mean, how stupid are these bureaucrats? Next clip, Chris.
Next clip. So next up is the superintendent of the Waterloo District Regional School Board, and his name is Greg Bereznik, and I asked him, as a person, are you sad for what happened to this couple? Let's take a listen.
This is a difficult situation for the family to be in, and we do work hand in hand with these families because we co-parent. So obviously we hope that we could move forward.
Co-parent? I didn't know that teachers were co-parents, Kris, did you?
No, I didn't. And I asked him for clarification. Is this a new thing? Like, who wrote this down? And he said, well, because we're all concerned about the child's welfare and bringing them up right.
I'm quite sure a government bureaucrat is as concerned as people. Now, he said they work hand in hand with parents, but given that the strip search was there, I think he means hand in bum, Kris. But you've got one more clip. Let's roll it.
Sure thing.
I'm really sorry that the family's as upset as they are, but we followed proper standards and procedures, and I've looked at the case, and I see no issue of concern in how we conducted our involvement with this family, and I do not see any need for our agency to apologize for fulfilling our mandated responsibility and doing what we need to do. The work and the service that was provided was on standard, and it was compassionate, and it was respectful. And it still doesn't mean that parents won't be upset. And I'm sorry for their upset, and I'm still willing to work with them in whatever way we can to help alleviate some of their anxiety.
If this happened all again.
Oh my God. I'm sorry you were upset. Not I'm sorry. That's what the Chinese called an ironic apology. Are you sorry for what you did? Yes, I'm sorry that you're upset that I strip searched your dad. I'm sorry you're upset for a warrantless search and seizure. And my favorite there, Kris, is she called it a service. The service we provided was on standard. Kris, that woman is just, she's got ice in her veins if she can say that without cracking up or just speaking in, I don't know, the original German or something. I've never heard such a freaking tyrant, Kris. That is the scariest thing I have seen today.
She had basically a memorized thing that she was saying to me over and over.
That's
Ezra.
a robot. That's a robot to be scared of. Forget these robocalls.
I need people to know that this is the sort of response we got. That was the most passionate response I had.
If that's passionate, she's dead inside. For her to say, strip search man, arrested by the cops, home invasion warrantless search, all because a kid drew a gun, with that kind of dead heart, she is a threat to families, Kris. I am beyond disgust, and all I can say is thank God that you were there to catch it and put it on tape, and thank God Solomon Friedman, the lawyer, is going to try and get some justice here. Kris, this story is not over.